This is a content warning for Major Issues Podcast, episode 296, where we tackle Kick-Ass 2 for his 10-year anniversary. As you could tell from the title, there will be some cursing, so put the kiddos to bed. The Major Issues Podcast starts right now! Hello everybody out there in comic book land. My name is George Serrano, aka The Don, and if you're listening to this, you can only be here for one reason. That's a brand new episode of the Major Issues Podcast, brought to you each and every week by ComicBookClique.com. And as always, I am never alone. Sir, if you could please introduce yourself.
I'm here in the building once again. Everyone's favorite Cloud is Maximus.
It is Claudius Maximus. He's back, and I guess better than ever, possibly better than ever, hopefully better than ever. But
Always
that would be almost disrespectful to the old you, right? Like just to sit there and just talk about how good you are now. You might be saying some bad things about yourself in the past. I am glad I cannot remember my login information for MySpace.
Oh, well, that's funny. I just did think in my head. These Skonex, I never had one.
Or Skone. I had a Skonex. I got some girls of a Skonex.
Oh, snap.
Which was like the high school version of Facebook at the time. Yeah, man. That thing, it told you what the high schools they went to, what borough. It was out there. It was some fun times. But I remember maybe about 7-ish years ago, I went back and I checked some of my MySpace stuff, and I've got these pictures that I've edited in black and white. And I'm like, I'm not your role model. I'm like, I'm 17 years old. What the hell?
Yeah.
What the hell was I thinking? And me and you have known each other now for 10 years this year, or, know each other
Indeed
as closely as we have for the last 10 years this year. A hell of an anniversary. And I say all that to say that 10 years ago, a film came out. The same year that we became friends, a film came out. It's the film we'll be tackling today, Kick-Ass 2. But watching this film made me feel like I was looking back at my old MySpace at times. Does any of that make sense? Do you get?
It does. It might have been some of the lines,
Just some of it. But
you don't have to be a good person to be a superhero. What was it? No, you don't have to be a badass to be a superhero.
That's what it was. That was a bit much. But yeah, we're here to talk about Kick-Ass 2. Just in general, everything that's happened in the last 10 years of superhero movies almost makes me appreciate parts of this a bit more. There's definitely issues I had with it. There's stuff I really like about it. There's stuff I ended up disliking about this film. But I can't wait to talk about it. I wanted to ask you off the rip, were you a fan of the original Kick-Ass film?
Oh, snap.
Kick-Ass 1.
I have a confession to make.
Have you not seen Kick-Ass 1?
I have not seen Kick-Ass 1. However.
Okay. I like that point of view for this podcast.
I know little enough to where
pop culture references. Like you've seen enough of it.
To where and why Kick-Ass 2 happens. So.
Okay. I am now, and I think we might have to find a way to get you on to talk about the first one, but I'm very interested in seeing what you thought about that first one. Mm-hmm. But when that came out, that was it was everything. It was kind of like Superbad. Remember when everyone was talking about Superbad and changed comedy?
I was huge deal. It's funny because I'm watching Kick-Ass 2, and I'm trying to remember if the first one made any noise. I kind of remember it making some noise, but for some reason 2 made more noise for some weird reason for me. I mean, we would have been right. Remember it more.
Yeah, we would have been right in the
You know?
middle of all the comic book stuff when this comes out. When Kick-Ass 2 comes out, 2013. This would have been a year after Avengers. So we would have been
Ooh.
full bore into the MCU. I think the next year Guardians comes out. But that first Kick-Ass, let me see. Budget of 30 million, made 96 million. So about
Ooh,
three
that's
times his
nice.
budget.
That's nice.
Um, it's gritty. The comic is way, way, way grittier. But
I was gonna
2000s
ask about
comics,
the comic.
the 2000s comics are a bit rough because, literally what happens in a thing that me and you are huge fans of professional wrestling. It happened across the board. So they went through their attitude era phase where everything was so edgy and so,
Gory and
crazy.
explicit, and you
You're
know.
fighting God and lesbians are kissing on TV and all that kind of stuff. When you get to that point, and they got there in comics, things like The Boys, people look at as like this went way too far. The only reason why The Boys works now in TV is because we went through such a PG time. We went extra hard on the PG nature of superheroes, that people kind of forgot that they can exist in R-rated stuff anyway. So 2010, when this comes out, when the first one comes out, I mean, it blew a lot of people's minds. But the I the one thing that like just breaks my heart a little bit about the idea that you haven't seen Kick-Ass 1 is I think that seeing Chloe Grace Moretz, who plays Mindy slash Hit Girl,
A girl.
to see her as a child do that for the first time without any knowledge of what was going to happen, I
Hmm.
feel like is a moment
Right.
that might be robbed a little bit by seeing her doing it as an adult.
Uh-huh.
Um,
And so the thing with that is, I'm like, the thing with that is, I knew that kind of going in, especially because of the fight with her and Mother Russia. I'm like,
yeah,
damn. I'm like, she's doing this, and this is a sequel. And if I go into this not knowing anything of she,
yeah,
I think she's a kid to begin with. You know what I'm
right.
saying? So I have certain points in the fight or in the last scene. I'm just kind of beside myself. I'm like, oh wow, she's doing all this shit. But then I remember this is the sequel. So
Oh,
it's
you matter of
it's
fact, there's a bunch I can explain for you that will set this up so that you could equal parts enjoy the sequel more and understand the sequel a little bit more.
uh-huh.
Because I do think there's little intricacies that may not make sense. I can explain the girlfriend situation.
Oh
I can
no,
explain,
oh
like
yeah,
all
right.
all the little interpersonal stuff there. But yeah, that first one comes out. It's bonkers. McLovin's in it, so it's a
Hmm.
huge deal.
Hmm.
Um, I read the comic. We covered the comic and the first movie here. The official verdict when we were done with that was I dug the comic a bit more, but I always dig the comic a bit more because they're able to go through levels and details that you can't really go through. It's a bit darker and stuff like that. But this was the first Kick-Ass was incredibly bloody, um, incredibly fun. It was directed by Matthew Vaughn, who people know from. I'm about to find his because I think Kingsman also ultimately. Well, yeah, Kingsman, Kingsman. But X-Men First Class. So if you've seen X-Men First Class, that comes out a year after this, after the first
Hmm.
Kick-Ass. That's the kind of director, that kind of energy, that kind of you know, uh, directing style. Matthew Vaughn, yeah, he directed the first Kick-Ass. He was supposed to direct Kick-Ass 2, but he turned it down for X-Men First Class.
Oh.
So
Let's see.
So yeah,
You got it.
and
You got it. All right. That's cool. That's all
that's
right.
considered the best directed X-Men film to this day. Like
Yeah,
if
I
you
was
don't
just
count
about to say
Logan.
he's the one that I remember with the most praise.
Yeah. And so and that's the first movie I do think has his exceptional style and flair um in it. So become time it's sequel time, but Vaughn is tied up with X-Men First Class, so they end up getting a different director for the sequel, who I believe had only done one other feature film. Which I mean, it's kind of hard to then do that. First of all, it's hard in general to do a sequel, I think.
Yeah, with all the
Um,
mojo surrounding the sequel, it's not better than the first. They're never better than the first.
you ever heard of the movie Never Back Down?
I would have to.
Some martial arts film.
Yeah, I will
Uh,
have to look at. I remember. I think I remember seeing it. I want to look up the cover because coming up, not a lot of
Amber
people in my
Heard's in
family
it.
used to like watching those.
Amber Heard's in it. But
What's the
anyway,
name of it again?
Never Back Down. It's an MMA.
Oh, this better be
I think it's the
my
MMA
time.
version. I think it's the MMA version of Step It Up, or what is it?
Oh, absolutely not. But yes, I know.
Yeah, right. So
that
he
thing
had,
was on. That thing was on just random TVs everywhere at some point.
yeah. Oh my gosh, he wrote Bloodshot. So he wrote Bloodshot and he directed Never Back Down. That's his two biggest things besides this film. Kick-Ass 2. I was a big fan of Kick-Ass 2. I mean Kick-Ass 1. I dig Kick-Ass 2. But I'll tell you this. When I saw it initially, I remember thinking it was fine.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I watched it on this rewatch, I watched it halfway because I was on break at work. I watched it halfway, and the first half, I was incredibly entertained. Like I was going, "What the hell was I saying about? Like, why did I think this was just fine?" And I think the second half makes some choices that are not necessarily the best, and thus, you know, might lose some points. But
Some choices, you say?
just a bit of points. But we can talk about it when we get
catch
there.
that first one after. Yeah.
Yes. And now I need to know, because I'll tell you this. We did top 10 debuts. Top 10 on-screen debuts in comic book movie history. And Hit Girl's on my list of top 10 of all time.
Mm-hmm.
So I need you to see that in context. You know, when you watch that first film, see that and then see how she gets in, and watching Nicolas Cage play Batman. Like that's like play Batman, like a version of Batman, Big Daddy.
Right.
Yeah,
BD.
It's just absolutely, it's bonkers. But let's get into it. Kick-Ass 2 is a 2013 black comedy superhero film written and directed by Jeff Wadlow, based on the graphic novels Book 2 and Book 3 of Kick-Ass, the Dave Lazuski years. I always have trouble saying his name. By Mark Millar and John Romita Jr. It's serving as a sequel to 2010's Kick-Ass. It stars Aaron Taylor Johnson, Christopher Mintz-Plasse, Chloe Grace Moretz. I don't know why all these people have three names. And Jim Carrey, who obviously got billing because he's like possibly the most famous person in this film.
Right.
Might be. So off the rip, before we start this summary, I'm gonna give you what I think was one of the issues of the film, and this has nothing to do with like the writing or the directing.
Right.
In the comic, the distance between book 1 and book 2 and 3.
Oh, there's a time gap.
6 months. 6 months. In this film, it's 2 years. Now, the reason why that's an issue is because in the comics, all the stuff you see going on with high school is 11-year-old Hit Girl. Mm-hmm. She's 11.
Mm-hmm.
So it hits harder because she's younger and more impressionable and more.
Yeah, she's
and
more.
I feel like
right.
I feel like they were trying to have their cake and eat it too here.
Oh,
I feel like they were making her almost act 11. Mean. You know, like I feel like they almost still wanted her to act 11, even though she's obviously 15. But then also even act 15 when they want her to act 15. And I get it, because the youngness is what makes the shocking nature of the cursing and the violence pop. That was always the allure. It's the Damian Wayne of it all. It's like, oh, look at this little thing, and then you don't got no fingers. You know, so I think in trying to have their cake and eat it too, it kind of created like a weird middle ground for the actor,
I
and
think it
she's
would have
great.
worked. I think that would. I think I know what you mean. I think the best of her when it comes to like being foul mouthed is
Yeah,
when she's suited up. I like when she's talking
yeah,
shit suited up. You know.
yeah. It almost just plays as kind of edgy when she's not, because she kids her age when I was that age, cursed up a
Mm-hmm.
storm, you know. But if that kid was 11, you start going like, "Yo, what the like?" You're saying some wild, like
Right.
some of the stuff she says in this movie. What is it? I by the way, this is the first episode of the Major Issues podcast with a content warning in front of it, because literally to talk about this film, I have to use the words ass, motherfucker, bitch constantly, and that's me talking about characters. That's their
These
names.
are the character. Yeah, these are the characters.
These are the characters' names. So yeah, I feel like when she says like for someone who's such a cunt, I thought you could take more pricks or something like that. Like
Right,
something
right,
like
right.
that. Whatever, have Mother Russia in Russian. That's a badass kind of cool line, but even cooler when if it's an 11-year-old child. Which was something what was I doing? There was something else that I was bugging that about. Maybe it was Shazam 2 or something, where I'm just like, I get what you're going for, but the kid needs to be younger, because I
Hmm.
don't I don't buy it here.
But
But
yeah, the shock value for certain things is just way better that way too. That's
yeah,
all.
yeah.
It's
So
the adolescence of it all.
our film starts off with a training session between Dave and Mindy, aka Kick Ass and Hit Girl, where Mindy playfully displays the usefulness of a bulletproof vest by testing bullets out on him, the one wearing the vest. Dave explains that since Mindy's father's passing, his old partner Marcus became her guardian and has been doing his best to keep her on the straight and narrow. Unbeknownst to him, she's been playing hooky every day, instead working on her crime fighting training. Almost said hockey. Dave is semi-retired as a crime fighter, and Kick-Ass has started a movement of regular civilians dressing up and taking down bad guys. One day he meets up with Mindy and asks to team up like Batman and Robin, but she says he's nowhere near her level of expertise. He appeals to her sense of loneliness and she humors him. For 3 weeks, they skip school to train on all things superhero. Dave keeps his training a secret from his friends, family, and even his girlfriend, and seems excited about their future. Pretty good. Liking the energy.
You
Did
know
you
what I'm
like
saying?
the
Origins and
shooting?
such, and continuing combat.
This is
He's a he's a he's a jobber, bro.
he is a jobber, and that's the thing. He's
He's a
always been a
jobber,
jobber.
bro.
He's a jobber in the first movie.
Yeah.
He's a jobber in this movie. It's the whole point. But that's why, like towards the end, I feel like they try to make him cool, and it doesn't. It feels better with a jobber. You don't want him to go Stone Cold Steve Austin. You want him
Uh
to
huh. Uh
stay,
huh.
like,
They
and so
jobbing,
like
bro. Get your
at the end,
strength.
he has a 9 pack, and he's
Uh huh.
like building like an Iron Man
And then
suit,
he's over, bro.
and I'm just like, it was better
She
when
put him over.
you were James Ellsworth. It was better when you was James Ellsworth. But uh, I wanted to state this out, but that scene in the beginning with the bulletproof vest is incredibly famous because it is the scene from the first film. But in the first film, it's Mindy wearing the vest, and it's her father holding the gun.
That's a big ass handgun, first of all.
That's right. And so he's like, you sure? You're just like we practice. You know what I'm saying? Like, just like, and then he points a gun and shoots a gun at an 11-year-old girl, and you don't know in what context it is, but he's training
Mhm.
her to be able to understand how the impact of the vest takes bullets and how she can, combat that. But all you see is a little girl in a pink coat with a gun
Getting
getting
pushed
drawn
over
at her,
by a
and
bullet, like,
and literally,
ha.
literally, literally thrown
Right.
across the room. Yeah. The girlfriend. So the girlfriend Katie is a girl that he had a crush on. At one point he gets hit by a car, and she like has sympathy for him. And somehow, some way, and I feel like this happened in another movie or television show, she was led to believe that he was gay, and he did not correct her,
Oh.
which then led to him being her gay friend that got
Oh.
access in ways that a straight friend wouldn't.
Oh, Lord.
Um, and then ultimately it's revealed that he's straight and he's a superhero, and she gets mad at him for that.
Had me all wrong.
But ultimately, yeah, it all, yeah. I say that to say that their relationship started with a lie. So how things go on later on doesn't really surprise me. Although what she says, she's a little quick, and I'm not liking that for Dave. But anyway, we get a shot of the D'Amico mansion, home of the D'Amico family, whose patriarch was killed in the first film by Kick-Ass. It's also one of the most hilarious ways to die. I believe if you rewatched it, you heard Chris kind of explain how he died, because his mom's like, "Oh, it was like because of this, because of that." He's like, "No," he's like, "No, he got shot with it. He got shot with a bazooka." That's literally what happened. He got shot with a bazooka. It's shot very in like the most cool, badass way possible. But it's like, there's no doubt this man is dead. He's absolutely dead. Frank's spoiled prodigal son, Chris, who was Red Mist in the first Kick-Ass, is on the hunt for Kick-Ass and accidentally kills his mother after an argument about the whole situation. With no one to stand in his way, Chris is now in charge of his father's criminal empire. Bum, bum, bum. What'd you think of old Chris D'Amico?
He had to turn. He had to turn, bro.
He loves that eyeliner, right?
Yeah.
You know what, man? I'm a chunky boy. That's just the life I'm meant to live. But I would have been tight if I got cursed with that body, man. Like, he's just such a little man. He's just such a little man. He's making way more money than me, so he ain't he ain't hurting. But there's only so much you could do with that. There's only so much you could do.
It's all right. He works with it. Go ahead, Christopher.
He's never gonna play, like the leading man in a romantic movie. They're not looking at him like they're looking at Aaron Taylor Johnson doing one-arm pull-ups in the at the end of this. But it is what it is. So Marcus confronts Mindy over her skipping school. She pretends to cry. He tells her to cut the act. She lies about why she skipped school, but he believes her and they go out for pizza. I like that he knew she was bullshitting. I always like when a girl cries and somebody says, "Cut that shit out."
The second lie, I like even more that the second lie was even ready in the chamber before. You know what I'm saying? Before we could even.
Yeah.
Oh, blue, what? That didn't work. Okay.
Yeah, because she pretends that the reason why she's been cutting class is to see a guy, which is true.
True, but she's the one taking him to go train because he's a job.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I also should say that every day she cuts school. She takes a cab home from school as soon as she gets
money on the cab, though.
Yep. And she, but we also know that because she fights crime, she steals.
I'm from New York. I'd have been using that third ride on my school metro.
I'm telling you. And this is in New York, right?
It is in New York, which is why I don't know why she don't have a green metro. Hold up.
No, she ain't got the green metro, bro.
She ain't got the green metro.
Not valid. Not valid.
She get the half off metro.
She does. Yeah, but she's taking that cab every day back home. And then she's breaking into the school attendance system. So there's no, hey, your daughter hasn't been here for 3 weeks, which is usually the trope in something like this, right? Like, hey, how was school? And then you say, school is whatever. Oh, because it just told me that you haven't been there for 3 weeks, but that's not the case here. So she nips that right in the bud. While going through his parents' things, Chris finds a BDSM outfit and decides that that's his supervillain outfit, and also decides that he has a new supervillain moniker, the Motherfucker. What do you think about the outfit and the Could you wear your dead mother's bondage outfit as ring attire, you think?
We don't know if she wore it. It looked new.
It could have been his. It could have been the dad's.
Or was it because it was shiny?
It could have been the dad's too. Who knows? They're up to some craziness. But like some of these lines in here, oh, your mom had some great guns. Oh, she's dead. No, I mean literally there's guns. I'm like,
guns.
What are you doing? What are you doing? Dave and Mindy do a training exercise in the field where Dave pretends to be helpless. I don't know why he had to be a pimp for this training exercise.
He just walked down the alley, and that was it.
Yeah, I was like, why is he dressed like a pimp? Where Dave pretends to be helpless so he can take down some mugger, and things start off well until he's outnumbered. They beat on him until Hit Girl makes a well-needed, albeit bloody entrance, and takes them down single-handedly, including dismembering one of them. What did you think of this bloody reintroduction of Hit Girl?
I thought that was fire.
Up until this point, we haven't really seen action like this.
I thought that was fire. Well, first of all, Mr. Strange, heel, thief, mugger, sir, lied to her. Liar, liar, pants on fire. How dare you slice?
Yeah. Is that when she turns to him and is like, did you like that line?
Yeah.
Liar, liar, whatever. Yeah, I like that they're still working on their stuff. So, because of damage done to Kick-Ass, he has nerve damage. That's his superpower. Kid doesn't really feel pain. He can in extreme measures, as you'll see later on. But yeah, that's what makes him him. And I think his bones might have like screws or titanium or whatever because of the damage. Like none of this stuff is like experimental or superpowers like in the positive way. It's like
it's practical almost.
Yes, 100%. Yeah, so that's what kind of makes him. He's a loser, but also on top of that, that's how he found strength is because he can't feel anything. But he almost died here. I guess she was just wanting to see how long he could hang until
he's gonna get stabbed up and robbed and left in the alley. He was her damsel in distress.
I swore one of them threatened sexual harassment on him or sexual assault about putting something in somebody's mouth.
Yes,
and I was like, this is a lot. This is a lot. Marcus overhears that the cops are looking for someone who resembles Hit Girl, so he races home to catch her. Jarvis, you are both father and son. Who are you rooting for in this moment?
I'm rooting for her.
You're rooting for her? You want her to get home scot-free?
Rooting for her.
Yeah.
Because I know what's gonna happen once you get caught.
I thought you might have been rooting for the pops.
But I'm only saying that because I know that's gonna have to be me. And,
one day.
And hopefully it doesn't have to be me. Hopefully, I get the most perfect child. Well, the most perfect teenager.
I was rooting for her too, and I love how they found a way to make this a tension moment. Like they found a way to make this a tense.
Shout out for the bike that she had though, because I like that she had the bike.
Yeah, and I like when she gets right behind him. She's like, "Fuck, I can't go that way now because he's going that way. I gotta go the other way." So, boom, boom, boom. Fortunately, Mindy uses a motorcycle to cut through the neighbors' backyards and sneak into her bed. Her ruse works until Marcus sees blood on her cheek and scolds her for continuing to fight crime. He tells her Hit Girl isn't who she is and that her father robbed her of her childhood. He makes her promise to stop skipping school, and she does, but she thinks of her father before doing so. This moment sets up a theme in this film that is incredibly confusing to me. And I would like to talk to you about it to see how you feel. From this moment on, this becomes the narrative, right? That Hit Girl was something that Marcus believes Hit Girl was something pushed upon her by her father, right? Mm-hmm. And that there's a girl underneath Hit Girl that Mindy needs to kind of investigate, identify, and bring out. Mm-hmm. And then Dave is constantly telling her, "Oh no, you are Hit Girl. Like that's you. You are Hit Girl. Stop trying to be what you're not. Stop trying to be anything else." Where do you sit on this side of the debate? Should we be encouraging her that she's Hit Girl and only Hit Girl, or
yes? Or, I was looking at that very carefully to see how they were really going to handle that, and it's like you wanna be on the best side possible for that, but you also want the best for your little one, So the only thing you can't do is hope she makes the decision you would want that would be best for her.
Yeah, you would hope that what you want and what she wants is similar, not that she's doing what you
Yes, are
say.
similar. Or
Uh,
if at least you guys can meet somewhere in the middle, you know?
right.
But that's
Because
how what I feel. That's what I feel eventually happens into the movie.
usually in a scene like this, I'm like, yada yada, the parents. But there's parts of this where I'm like, he's kind of telling you the truth.
Mm-hmm,
You know, he
mm-hmm,
is kind
mm-hmm,
of telling you, like, you can't live this way forever. And I guess in a comic book world, you can,
mm-hmm,
kind of.
mm-hmm.
But like, I even want Damian Wayne to go to school.
Right.
You know, I want him to, like, it's not like, oh, there is no Damian, oh, there's only Robin. You know, there's no Mindy, only Hit Girl. Like, there is a Mindy. You don't know Mindy. You never even try to get to know Mindy. You never even try to figure out what Mindy is. You know, so that was, I was a bit conflicting in that, because when she's broken down at her worst, Kick Ass tells her, like, be Hit Girl, and I'm like, there's got to be a middle. And maybe that's where she went on the motorcycle to go find the middle of Damian and Hit. You know,
Right.
maybe that's what that was. The next day, Mindy tells Dave that she can't train him anymore, but people nearby overhear the conversation and confuse it for a breakup. What did you think of that scene?
I'm
Because
like,
his
damn.
girlfriend,
I'm like, y'all ear hustling and y'all think this is a breakup?
she doesn't even like give him a chance to like explain what's going on.
Yeah,
Now
she don't. Yeah.
she was suspicious because she hadn't been seeing him around. So okay, whatever. But like that was weird. And then like out of anger, she then comments that somebody that she knows has a bigger penis than he does, or something, which meant to say that she was cheating
Already.
already. So like what?
Or
What?
maybe inquiring.
So who am I rooting for in this? Is what I'm trying to say. Like what's going on? Do I want them to stay together and get past this miscommunication? Because she just burnt the bridge. He didn't do
Yeah,
nothing
she kind
yet.
of did. Yeah,
That's
she
what I'm
did
saying. So
it.
I'm like, wait a minute, what's going on here? Usually you're like, no, stop, you've got to. But she's like, somebody else got a bigger baton. All right, go play with that baton then. Go on then.
You heard?
So that might be a little bit too much, but anyway, Chris's bodyguard Javier, Chris's body yaddy yaddy
Shout
bodyguard
out. First of all, shout out to John Leguizamo because he just
Johnny
no matter
Legs.
no matter what role he's in, big, small, there's never been a role that I've ever seen him in that he's never fucking delivered maximally. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm gonna take this time to plug even more famous podcast than ours. But if anyone knows me, they know I'm a huge Auntie Donna fan.
mm-hmm.
One of the members of Auntie Donna, making them fresh. One of the members of Auntie Donna, Zachary Rowain, does a podcast with his best friend. Her name is Mish, and the point of the podcast is every episode of the podcast is about something John Leguizamo's in. And when I say something, I mean an episode on a commercial he's done, an episode on a YouTube video where he's talking about his greatest roles, every single movie that he's done, even if he's in it for 5 minutes and gets shot, or he's in the opener in a flashback or whatever. Encanto, like everything under the sun. They watched Spawn, you know, like they and I, because I like him, I listened to him, and it has already convinced me of what you've already said. No matter what he gets in this, or no matter what role he ever gets, he always does the most with it. And you really felt like he was over Chris's whole shit, and it's like, come on, man, like you fucking
super
brat.
over, bro. Like I'm just here so you can pay me. That's it. You know.
And like in another film would have had him like roll his eyes but still do everything. But like he's kind of talking shit the whole time when he's doing all his stuff. If you haven't seen Violent Night, he's great in that. The Violent Chris Santa Claus movie. Yeah, he's the villain in that. He's Scrooge, and absolutely great in that. But yeah, you really do forget about how much John Leguizamo is in. I believe he is probably closing in on close to 200 credited whatevers. Yeah, they said at the time when they started, if you counted all the weird tangential Ice Age stuff, because he's
Right, because
Sid.
he's in all. Yeah, he said.
So, and but what I'm saying, he's in all the movies, but he's also in
Mm-hmm,
all the made-for-home DVDs. He's
mm-hmm,
also in
mm-hmm,
all the video games, mobile games. They said if you counted all the Ice Age IP, that's
mm-hmm.
10% of his entire career. So
Jeez.
he's making Sid the Sloth money, bro. He's saying back, he cashing out, he does whatever he wants to. So like he was having fun on this. Um, but yeah, yeah, he walks in on him dressed like the motherfucker. We already did that. Kick-Ass unretires and starts to team up with other local heroes after hearing about a man looking to start his own super team. Meanwhile, motherfucker robs a convenience store and feels more alive because of it. What a lame. What a lame. All of this is lame. He goes in, he robs the place. They're not even really scared of him. He wants it caught on camera, but he accidentally picks a place that doesn't
So he can
have a
go viral.
camera. Yeah, so he can go viral,
I
which
like when he
is
points the gun. I like when he points the gun at the old guy.
yeah.
He slowly tries to get on the
He
ground.
tries to get on the ground. And
Fucking knees are
that
shaking.
frustrates him. Apparently, he's not getting on the ground fast enough, so he just unloads on like a cartons of milk or whatever.
Yeah, at the soda fridges and all that in the back.
Yeah, he has real little boy energy, is what I'll say, up in that whole exchange. And then again, comes in like he just snorted
First
a
of
line,
all,
right?
I think he's
Ooh,
got
I'm
little.
alive.
I think he's got little boy energy throughout the whole movie. That's the shit that kills me with him. That's why he gets so much heat off of me.
So that's also true in the first one, but in this, we should have been 2 years forward.
Right.
It would have made sense if it was 6 months in between,
Uh-huh.
but it's 2 years. In the first film, he says that he's almost 18, like he's 17 turning 18 or whatever. 2 years would make both of them 19, which meant homeboy wouldn't even be in fucking school.
Listen, there's only three. There's some of the three. These are some of the three things in life that are certain: death, taxes, and wimps of all ages, bro.
Yeah, there are wimps of all ages. That is true. But after a while, even Dave's looking too damn big to be in that high school. I'm like, which one of you don't belong in this
Somebody
school?
leave. Somebody leave.
It's one of
Or
you two don't
graduate,
belong in this
goddammit.
school. Get this right. Yeah, I love that he's like, ooh, I feel so alive. And again, Javier's like, yeah, whatever, bro. Like, what do you want me to
Get in
do?
the car.
What do you want me to do?
I'll just drive.
Oh yeah, then he demands the best hand-to-hand training so he can kick ass with his bare hands, and we'll get back to what happens there when he hires all the best fighters so he can perform some Chuck Liddell style ass whoopings. Mindy attends her first slumber party, but I don't. I think she does stay, and learns about her body. What did you think about the One Direction scene?
About her discovering herself.
The Union Jack. Did that not feel a little weird?
More or less. That it was, yeah,
a little weird.
That's what it was.
What I mean by weird is it felt like that wasn't written by a girl. Is what I mean by it feels weird.
I can see that.
You know,
and
go ahead, brother.
I don't know. Like I feel like if I had a girl in the room, I would be able to turn to her and be like, "Can you
I'll tell you this.
Or like,
I'll tell you this. It doesn't fit with an 11-year-old.
That's true, 100%.
I'll tell you.
You're right.
I'll tell you that right there. And also, like, these girls feel like if you traced the Mean Girls and then just drew your own
just
designs
out a little bit.
Yeah. And I wondered why. Like, when does Mean Girls come out? There's no way this beat that to the punch. I want to say, 2004. Not only did it not beat it to the punch, it's been 10 years. It's been 10 years. But that girl, the main Mean Girl, is basically Regina George from Mean Girls. Were you surprised at all that they were all incredibly fast, apparently? Like they're just talking about blowing people and
Oh
jerking
man, hell
people.
yeah, I
And
was because all right. So I saw I this is a rewatch for me. But even
yeah,
so, I'm going in and they're talking, and I'm like, I don't remember this shit.
yeah, and I get part of it
I
is
was still
supposed to
looking at it like,
show.
yo, they said, how could I? I don't even remember reacting this bad to this. But still, I'm like, damn. I guess.
And like I said, I totally get that part of it's supposed to show how out of touch Mindy is with the real world, but also
She
how
is.
crazy
Yeah.
high school is. And I'm not saying I didn't do some of the stuff that they were talking about in high school, but I don't remember talking
Uh-huh.
so openly about it. I don't remember being like,
Right.
maybe I would. I don't know. Maybe that's
I
locker room
mean,
talk.
I
Girls'
mean,
locker room talk.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's talk with the boys, talk with the girls. You know what I mean? Like, that's really all it is. And that's even to say if girls really
But
do
that's what I
hear it.
mean. But that's what I'm saying. It felt like a conversation, like if of a guy imagining what girl talk is.
Right. Right.
So he
Right.
just took what a guy's conversation was and just, like kind of moved that over.
Flipped
And they're
it.
like, they're getting on her for being a virgin at 15. The fuck? Like, what? What? In what world?
The
Like,
fuck?
isn't the homecoming queen usually waiting for marriage or something like that? I don't. Again. Yeah, so I just thought that was weird. Um, I think you could have went there, could have got there without going there, but to each his own. Kick-Ass meets Justice Forever and its leader, Colonel Stars and Stripes. Are you familiar
I
with the
dude. First of all,
controversy?
Mr. Man,
Yes.
I am not. However, I stopped to say what my first go around for this. Dude, you have no idea how hard I popped for Jim Carrey, bro.
Yeah.
Holy, because to me, I haven't seen him in fucking years before going to go meet him in this movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when I see him, the second I see him in the whole getup, bro, I just like a wave of happiness. I'm like, yeah, let's go fuck these dudes up.
I
You know, go train
Jim
Jim
Carrey,
Carrey.
you know who also has seemingly has that effect on me? Um Eddie Murphy.
Yeah.
Because I've seen these guys in my childhood and they made me happy in my childhood because
Uh
of how
huh.
silly that they were.
Uh
So
huh.
just seeing him again, I had the same feeling seeing Jim Carrey as Robotnik in Sonic. It just felt
Mm-hmm.
so familiar. Um,
Right.
I think he does great in this. I like his like Brooklyn accent. I like his teeth
Yeah.
full
Yeah.
of stuff. I like the lumps on his head, his lumpy ass head. I like him in this, but I was going through.
I was
I
gonna
remember
say,
this.
yeah.
I
What
remember
was
this when
all
this
the
happened.
hullabaloo?
So when the film came out, or shortly before the film came out, I should say, he was going on the record and he was telling people that he cannot endorse it. Now, uh, that's
The movie
because
or the
yes. So the
character?
film, the movie. So the film comes out in August of 2013, 10 years ago, right?
Oh.
Comes out in yeah, so in August of 2013. So he was stunned and upset and traumatized by the previous year's Sandy Hook shooting.
Oh. Okay. Okay.
So he wrote, I did kick ass a month before Sandy Hook, and now, in all good conscience, I cannot support that level of violence. My apologies to others involved with the film. I am not ashamed of it, but recent events have caused a change of heart.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So Mark Millar, who is the person who wrote the comic, put yes, the body
Uh-huh.
count is very high, but it's a movie called Kick Ass 2, and it really has to do with what it says on the tin. AKA,
Uh-huh.
like
Uh-huh.
whatever
Of
it says
course.
on the cover. What it says on the
Right.
cover, you kind of gotta, Um, sorry. He says he compared it to films by Quentin Tarantino, Sam Peckinpah, Martin Scorsese, and he insisted that the film concentrated on the consequences of violence rather
Mm-hmm.
than the violence itself, which I would also say. I don't think this was ever like,
Right. Right. I can respect that. I didn't know.
violence.
Right. 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 Right.
Yeah. Um, Miss Moretz was a bit harsher on her take.
Oh, what is
Hit
she?
girl. She said it's a movie. If you're gonna believe and be affected by an action film, you probably shouldn't go see Pocahontas because you're gonna think you're a Disney princess. If you're that easily swayed, you might see Silence of the Lambs and think you're a serial killer. It's a movie and it's fake, and I've known that since I was a kid. I don't want to run around trying to kill people and cuss. If anything, these movies teach you
Right.
what not to do. So there's that.
It's kind of savage
so
right there. Damn, damn. You could be a little bit more sensitive. You heard? Damn.
but but you know what it is. Also, when someone says something,
it was that shit was fresh, bro.
like,
You know what I'm saying? So for Jim Carrey to feel that way, I completely understand.
but I mean, so I'm of two minds about this because the it was fresh to him because he just finished filming, not fresh for the movie because it would be 10 months time difference in between the events and when the film comes out. However, I also could sadly be monstrously just not disaffected because this shit happens once a year here.
Right.
I'm not saying that it's a defense for him or her or anyone doing it or not doing it, but more so than that, if there's any spice to what Chloe said, I would assume it's irritation over someone you worked with now being like, oh, that thing is bad because of that thing that happened. Like, I still gotta promote this.
Right.
I still gotta hope people see it. I stand by it. And one of the most veteran and possibly biggest names has now just turned around and said,
I said,
nah,
I'm good.
Yeah. So like,
so I can see her getting annoyed almost.
Now I'm making a lot of that up, right? But you know, I could see where people would have an attitude or have a problem or where tensions would rise. But I think that's interesting because you don't hear many actors saying like, you know, Pat Benatar. Let me just fact check this real quick. Pat Benatar, singer of "Hit Me with Your Best Shot." You familiar with the song?
Hit me with your best shot.
Yes. According to a radio thing I heard once, she does not perform that song anymore because of gun violence. So people take their own protests.
Interesting.
And they are 100% valid in doing so. We live in a free country. I thought this was America. We live in a free country. You can take whatever stance you want. And
this is America.
I don't think Carrie's been in anything as bloody or violent since, but I'd have to look back. It's been 10 years. But this is probably his last movie for a while. Now I think about it. I gotta
right? Yeah, for sure.
I wonder if this did that. You know? I wonder if you do this film and then you're like, you know what, man, I'm just gonna chill. I just wanna freaking chill. Okay, he did this in 2013. He does Anchorman.
I don't think he popped back up to Sonic.
He had the Incredible Burt
because he does that scene in
Anchorman, Dumb and Dumber 2, which I don't think did well.
Oh.
And then he disappears for a bit, and then he comes back basically for Sonic only.
Yeah.
So yeah, rough. But Carrie. What do you think of his Eisenhower, his whole get up, his whole, because you know there's so many military based.
I'm loving. Yeah, the gimmick is clean, bro. The gimmick is clean.
I think he looks good with that hair too.
Yeah, for sure. He's working
major Chip Hazard hair.
You know what I mean? I'm digging it.
Yeah.
You know, the little buddy's not left over.
Oh, my phone just died. Well, yep. Back with Justice Forever, Kick-Ass gets acquainted with his new friends, including a couple who were inspired to fight crime after their son went missing. Their Their team name is called Remembering Tommy. It's not a great.
For the both, for the both of them, right?
Yeah, yeah. I like looked through. I went to the comics and everything. I'm like, what's going on here? And they're like, oh, Remembering Tommy.
That's them.
A woman who wants to avenge her dead sister, called Night Bitch, and an insect man who has dealt with homophobia, so now he defends the defenseless.
Night Bitch.
Surprisingly,
feel the void.
Surprisingly, Dave's friend Marty is at the meeting and fakes a tragic backstory before Dave outs him, and which ultimately outs himself. He just takes the Batman one, right?
Yeah, straight up.
Marty apologizes for lying, and they let him off the hook. The Colonel gives Kick-Ass the official invite, and Kick-Ass accepts. So Mindy continues to hang with the mean girls at school. And now Dave and Marty have a secret that they're hiding from the mutual friend because they're both superheroes and they can't tell Todd. Chris figures out quickly that he isn't a fighter and decides that he will use his money to be the supervillain he always wanted to be. Instead of training to be a fighter, he just pays fighters to do his bidding now. Surprise, surprise, Daniel Kaluuya, or wild Daniel Kaluuya appears. I was
I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
I was surprised too watching this back, and I was like, oh shit, forgot about that. Hey man.
Bro, that's not even something I could even say I forgot about. Gun to head, I couldn't have told you he was in this film. I completely forgot that he was in this movie. And the thing is, he's only unmasked in that scene. For the rest of the movie, he has a mask on. So there's no real, like his face wouldn't have popped out when it came to this. So, Kick-Ass. Yeah, Sicarios is 4 years later. He did Kick-Ass, Sicario. Sorry. He did Kick-Ass, Sicarios 2 years later. Get Out is 4 years later. And then once he gets Get Out, it's Black
Sicario?
Panther.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Once he gets out, it's Black Panther.
Crazy. He just goes off.
He's Hobie Brown now. He's basically Jordan Peele's Muse. He was in Nope. He was in Get Out.
He's Hollywood.
But he started by getting paid by Chris D'Amico to whip people's asses, apparently. And he calls him Black Death. But that's kind of racist. And John Leguizamo tells him so. You're gonna be racist.
And Javier is telling him, like, yo, you gotta chill, bro.
All this racistness. Yep. So he puts the word out that for every hard hitter in town to join him for good money. Back to Mindy. We don't need all this high school stuff. Mindy does a dance audition after being encouraged by her new friends. Instead of doing a provocative dance like her classmates, she imagines fighting crime, and that performance goes over extremely well with the other girls. Don't buy it. I don't buy it.
Just get it.
You put music on and you just start punching
you know
the
why
air?
You don't buy it? You know why?
Why?
You know why you don't buy it? Because she's got the closed fists, bro. You know what I'm saying? She'd open them.
You telling me? You telling me if somebody?
I'm telling you, bro. The spirit fingers, my guy.
If someone said Ice Spice, just started playing Ice Spice, and a girl in the middle of the street just started punching and kicking the air, I don't think you'd be like, "Wow, she's a really great dancer."
In almost a choreographed fashion.
And
bro,
in like
flips involved. None of these hussies in the school were flipping, bro.
I feel like this was lazy.
I'm popping. You bust a front flip, I'm popping.
You know what they should have done? Boom! I'm about to fix this. Trade this for volleyball.
Ooh.
Trade this for volleyball. Have the mean girls only want to be in volleyball because they get to wear the shorts and stuff like that. And she's out there and she's just hammering people. Because ultimately this scene was only done for one reason, so that someone could say she even did it better than the other girl, the popular one. That's the only reason why. So then they could get set on two different paths. Also, that girl didn't even seem like she wanted to hang out with her in the first place. Why did she go to her house? It made it seem like the father made her go.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Hell yeah.
Can you do that? Can you tell Zoe you're gonna go hang out with your other friends?
Force a sleepover on your child.
Yeah, like you're like, oh, I'm sorry, you're just a little bit not social, so I've invited
I said
you.
That watching, you know? I said that a little bit watching. I was like,
I kind of said their parents were friends. Never make my daughter
sleep over nobody's house if she don't want to.
I can understand their parents.
Oh, Morris Chestnut.
But it's like, come on, Morris Chestnut, what you out here doing? Because he was in the wood. That's why.
Detective Marcus.
It get crazy out here. But we get a montage of Justice Forever training, helping out the common man, and genuinely having fun together. I like the montage. I like that not everything that they were doing was life or death. Like they were just like saving cats from trees and helping old ladies cross the street and
the occasional fudging with Night Bitch.
Yes, and the occasional fudging with Night Bitch, because Kick-Ass and Night Bitch start hooking up, and in general, Dave seems to just be having a great time. He tries to convince Mindy to join them. Again, there are a lot of scenes of somebody watching a senior running after a very young freshman.
and nobody wanted to be like, hey.
And he's like, please, come on, please, please. And she's always seemingly annoyed.
What you doing?
Yeah, she's always seemingly annoyed by his presence, and he's always like begging.
Because she knows what he wants.
Don't say it like that. not on the playground.
Oh man.
See? He tries to convince Minnie to join them, but she refuses because of her promise to Marcus. He gives her crap for acting like a regular girl, which again, I think is mean. I think it's mean of him to be like, oh, you don't like regular school and regular stuff. How do you know? She's trying this shit out. And he's like, oh, you don't even like boys. So she goes, okay, fuck this. And she just asks the guy out right there. Some jock. And just to prove a point. It's not going to go well for her. And I also wonder when they planned that revenge, seeing as she seemingly out of nowhere asked him out. But anyway. Colonel Stars and Stripes shows he's worth his medal because that night the members of Justice Forever break into a sex trafficker's poker game. He beats the hell out of the bouncer, and the rest of them successfully bust up the game. They free the sex trafficked women. They give them $50,000. And the trafficker is who?
Wong. They kick Wong's ass.
And they bit Wong's dick.
And they bit Wong's Wong.
Wong got his Wong.
Wow, you dropped the ball with that, bro. Wong was.
That's what you're here for.
In the movie, Wong was in the movie. Wong
was doing the Wong thing.
Wow, what is happening?
See, I'm back on it.
The double entendre. It's a quadruple entendre.
Wong was doing his Wong thing, so he got his Wong. He got his Wong wonged. The dog is trained specifically to do just that, though. That's pretty important and pretty interesting.
You saw the hot dog.
He confesses to the location of the girls. They release the women, give them cash, like I said, and they pat themselves on the back. Chris D'Amico gets warned by Javier that his uncle, who's in prison, wants the entire family to lay a bit low. Chris disobeys this immediately by continuing to recruit villains for his crew, including the mobster, the Tumor, the ex-Triad member, Genghis Carnage, and a former KGB agent named Mother Russia. And Mother Russia looks ridiculous. Those
last two names are the
Genghis
ones
Carnage
the most. Yep.
Genghis Carnage, Mother Russia. I love that Javier's like.
Yeah, but I was about to say that. I'm like, I don't know about Mother Russia so much, because when I think about Mother Russia, I can't stop but think of motherfucker.
Yeah, he's like Mother Russia, motherfucker on the same team.
On the same team, I don't know, man.
My man Javier's thinking he's thinking about branding, he's thinking big picture stuff here. But Mother Russia also reminds me of this comically crazy character that was drawn up in The Dark Knight Returns, where it's just a woman like her, brolic, topless, blonde buzz cut hair like she has, and on her chest to cover her nipples are just two swastikas. Like just this cartoonish brolic villain woman. You got to think they took some influence from that here. Um, like I said, Javier shows some concern, and then Chris has the nerve. I think he thought this was a compliment to tell him that Javier's like his Alfred.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. You just call me a
And
fucking butler?
I love that line back because somebody else could have been like, "Yeah, kid, I got your back," and he's like, "I'm not your fucking, I'm not your fucking butler, bro." Oh, real cool. Um, so we know you haven't seen Kick-Ass 1. We're reviewing Kick-Ass 2. What is your opinion on Ass Kicker?
On Ass Kicker, the reverse. You mean the reverse flash?
Reverse kick?
Good.
The reverse ass.
Reverse ass.
I'm putting that meme up tomorrow. The ass.
That should be the thumbnail. That should be the thumbnail for the episode.
That's hilarious. The reverse ass. Lame suit.
Fucking
lame
biter.
For taking the suit.
That's
lame for
say.
taking
Fucking
the name.
Biter.
Lame for getting upset that he has a lame name. You know, I am not. Marty's name is Battle Guy. Your name doesn't have to be great. It just doesn't have to be Kick-Ass.
Yep.
Ass Kicker.
And then he was mad because they were being dicks. Get over yourself, bro.
His temper tantrum in this moment costs a man a life. And he is never reprimanded. He is never kicked out of the circle.
Is never spoken about.
Never even mentioned. He got a man killed. I'll leave it there. We'll get there in a bit. His friend's daddy.
You heard?
He gets mad. Yeah, he walks out on them. Mindy goes on a date. But it's all a setup for the cool kids to laugh at the girl who has never been invited anywhere. This is equal parts like Carrie. It's just Carrie. And interestingly enough, they remade that movie, Carrie. I want to say in 2013, the year of this film. And Carrie was played by Chloe Grace Moretz. So they basically do that here. I guess maybe she was just getting, like she still had a little bit of it in her, so she had to get it out. I was waiting for the blood. No blood. No pig's blood. But what do you think about this on the scale of mean kids? They drive her out to the middle of nowhere and leave her there, and then just drive back.
Mean and petty. Like, could you imagine the excuses motherfuckers had to tell their parents to go out there in the middle of nowhere for 25 minutes just to wait? Hey, we're on the way.
But then it all has to come back around, right? Like, you would eventually then either have to call your parents or you show up home really late and then you say, hey, remember, like, Jessica set me up. And then I've got to talk to Jessica's parents. Like, it never gets to that point. They just let these kids do whatever the hell they want to each other. I don't know, man. They left that woman in the woods. She walks home crying. Was it rough to see the cold-hearted hit girl sobbing a little bit?
Little bit. You know what I'm saying? It sucks because
she cared about this.
At the time she decided, not the time, but pretty last minute she decided to give it a chance, I guess, right? And then she basically gets shitted on, and then everybody laughs and haha loser this, and everybody just leaves her ass there, and then she just walks back home.
But that's the thing, you know me. So to me, because she goes to the person she can trust right after this. She goes to Dave, right?
Yeah.
Dave encourages her to get back into crime fighting because that's who she is. I'm not 100% sure if that's the correct advice. First off, because what that speaks to me is you're a cold-hearted person who cannot love, cannot care, cannot have fun. You were trained as a warrior and a weapon, and that's what you should be. And she says, no, I'm not. I can be more. And up against her first negative outworld interaction, he's like, nah, come back. Like, you don't gotta ever. And I'm like, I don't know if I buy that. She eventually leaves. She skips town at the end of this film because she doesn't know where to go, who to be, or any of that kind of stuff. I just feel like in this moment, you're still allowed to be a regular girl. You're 100%
Hmm.
still allowed to be a regular girl, and you should be able to go to high school and not have to worry about being bullied. That's just what comes with the territory. Like he kind of should have told her. There's many times where she tells him the price to pay for being a hero. It would have been cool for him to tell her the price
To
it
run
pays to
that,
be normal.
run that back towards her a little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, this is what normal is.
Hmm.
This is what normal is. That shitty feeling
But
you feel
now
right now.
he want a recruiter to go
Nah,
back to
he's
fight.
been trying to get it from the beginning, so he's just like,
That's the
yeah, you
thing, bro.
ready?
Nothing matters.
Yeah.
Nothing matters.
That makes him selfish.
A little
That
bit.
makes him
A little bit.
selfish. So yeah, he's like, nah, you're good. Oh, they fucked over. You fucked you over. Hit girl all day. We doing hit girl shit all day.
Let's go. Let's go fuck them up right now.
So she takes his advice, and her version of being hit girl at school is dressing like them.
Hmm.
You ever seen the other guys?
I think I have.
One of my favorite jokes in the other guys is there's a line where Mark Wahlberg's character says that he learned ballet to make fun of a guy. Like he saw a guy do ballet and thought he was gay, so he learned how to dance to make fun of him. And I'm like, feels like a lot of extra work. Feels like a lot of effort to kind of put somebody in their place. She did her hair, her makeup, put on a dress, put on heels. I think she just should. I think she just should have showed up in a grunge t-shirt and jeans and been like, "Yo, so this is what it's finna be. Y'all ain't finna mess with me, and I'm gonna show y'all why." If she get done six stick up, I just found it.
Fire.
Yeah, I just thought it was weird for her to be made up. Yeah, like I said, she uses an item called the six stick to get them to simultaneously vomit and suffer painful diarrhea at the same time, and she seems pleased with her revenge. And again, like, this is one of those like MySpace moments where I'm like, could have been a little bit. This all could have been a little bit mature. You still could have had the throw up and the diarrhea, but I think she should have been in her own skin. But I think what's interesting, and maybe that line should have been said somewhere where it's like, I don't really know who I am, so I'm gonna boogie because being at my house makes me think I'm supposed to be who my dad thinks I'm supposed to be. Being with Marcus makes me think I'm supposed to be where Marcus is supposed to be. Being or hanging around you, your dumb ass keeps telling me to fucking fight crime. So I'm gonna boogie off. I'm gonna boogie off by myself and figure out, where all this was. But not my circus, not my monkeys. Dave gets outed by his father as Kick-Ass when he finds his suit in his room. They argue with each other, and Dave storms off.
Dad.
Dave was a little bitch in this whole scene. At one point, he judges his father for working out by saying, "You're trying to pretend to be somebody else." I don't think that's a valid criticism.
He told his dad if he disappeared, no one would miss him. Bro, I don't know if that's a fight in my house, my guy.
Yeah.
Nah. I'm pushing you down those stairs.
That's what I'm saying. Like, and again,
if you're not leaving the house.
If this looked like it was coming from a 16-year-old, it'd be one thing. But the motherfucker looks you look about 30. Motherfucker looks like 20 years old. He's like, and we haven't seen much of a connection to break it, right? Like if we had seen throughout the entire film, like he's always had his back and he's always whatever. I'm doing this for my dad, and he just doesn't understand. And then this happens.
Do they show his dad? Do they show his dad somehow? Do they show his dad in the first movie?
Yeah.
Okay.
But as you can tell here, he doesn't know that he's Kick-Ass. So there's no reason to be concerned or any of that kind of stuff. That's why this all felt kind of rushed, but it's to pack the punch of later, right? Like that's what all this is for.
Right. I'm out of here, Dad.
That's what these grown-ups do. They just walk out. Anyway, Chris is asked to visit his uncle in prison. His uncle's played by Ian Glenn. That's the guy who plays Bruce Wayne in Titans. I was like, oh, look at you. I remember you. Ian Glenn. Ian Glenn repeats his hopes that the family will lay low, but Chris makes it obvious that he has no intentions of doing so. So to show he means business, Uncle D'Amico kills Javier with Chris on the phone. My boy Johnny Legs is gone. Sunrise, sunset. Pobrecito.
Knife to the throat.
Knife to the throat. They give him the old knife to the throat.
All to fuel motherfucker's anger.
Yeah, because this doesn't discourage him at all.
Not one bit.
If anything, it hardens him a little bit. It makes him more determined. He finds where Colonel Stars and Stripes is because the good colonel was once a former mob boss back in the day and worked for Chris's dad. Has him finally beaten. Has him beheaded. Doesn't do anything to the dog because he's not a monster. And he manages to gather info on Night Bitch, who he finds out is close to Kick-Ass. What'd you think about the death of my man Colonel Stars?
Terrible. He resisted. I can't lie, and that's all I would have asked for.
Yeah.
There's nothing I could do. He was going up.
I liked him talking shit to the end.
Oh yeah, 100%.
He was talking shit to the end, and I like that, you know. Because he was like, "Oh, you used to work for my father." He's like, "Yeah, I worked for a lot of losers."
For a lot of losers.
I was like, I like this weird gruff, Chip Hazard, fucking Jim Carrey. Yeah, head cut off, rough stuff. But she killed him before. Mother Russia killed him before he felt any pain, so that's good. The news of the Colonel's death spreads. Meanwhile, Mindy is at home grounded because of her actions in school. She pleads to be allowed to help stop the bad guys, but Marcus sends her to her room. Justice Forever gets together to mourn their leader, but when Marty brings up that they might be targeted, Dave realizes Night Bitch is nowhere to be found. We cut to the toxic mega cunts. Oh, this episode is just chock full of quotable moments. We cut to the toxic mega cunts walking through a suburban neighborhood. They break into Night Bitch's house, and Chris attempts to rape her but can't get hard. Now, I think it was very obvious that's what he was trying to do, right? In the comic, Chris D'Amico rapes Katie, the girlfriend of Kick-Ass. So a lot of people thought that they were going to go this route here. I'm happy that they didn't. But ultimately, they make it like a limp dick joke, and they beat her up. And then Mother Russia just does an impressive scene of her destroying cops for like 5 minutes straight. Like, just
that. You gotta put her over, bro.
Just inventive ass ways to kill people. And they played the Tetris song in the background because she's Russian. But speaking of police, to stop the madness caused by a city of vigilantes, the chief of police orders anyone in a mask to be detained, which includes members of Justice Forever. After being mistaken for Kick-Ass, Dave's father is arrested as well. I don't buy that. I don't buy that
shit either.
He was on camera. Like, if Dave's dad was black, would they have arrested him? Like, there's obvious physical reasons why that can't be that guy. I don't know. Tis what it is.
Unless he was in the middle of the street in the suit doing jumping
going,
jacks.
I am Kick-Ass. With the sticks, he's just twirling them around. I am Kick-Ass. It is me. You have been waiting. You have been wondering for years, but it was me. Yeah, he gets arrested. Dave talks to him in prison, promises to retire from crime fighting, but little does he know that Todd, aka Ass Kicker, accidentally leaked his secret identity to Chris D'Amico in order to join his supervillain crew. Chris targets and kills Dave's father in prison. Yeah, you should feel bad. You said a bunch of bad things. You know, you should feel absolutely terrible. And then you let your dad go to jail for you.
Yeah.
And exactly what happens. Exactly what happens. He says, people want to hurt Kick-Ass. And he's like, oh, don't worry. Then the safest place for me to be is here. Well.
Well, then.
Well, now he's DED dead. At the funeral, Dave tells Mindy he's out of the superhero game, but the entire event gets hijacked by Chris's goons, who kill several police officers before kidnapping Dave and trying to force him to put on the old costume. The idea is that they'll deliver a costume kick-ass to Chris so he can execute him in front of his new band of supervillains. Too bad for them, Hit Girl is on the case. She chases the van down, kills several of the men, and saves Dave. I did like that.
I did like that too, and seeing that today, it kind of holds up. The special effects, when she's like on the van and stuff.
Yeah, I know, like all incredibly inventive and bloody kills. I think all that still worked.
Yeah, all that shit was cool.
They interrogate the tumor. I can't believe they gave that guy that name. She finds out where Chris D'Amico's hideout is and calls Marcus to tell him that she's sorry, but she knows who she is now. She's Hit Girl. I'm Batman. She's Hit Girl. Kick-Ass and Hit Girl show up to go toe to toe with Chris and his villain mob. They bring with them all their superhero pals. They do a massive call on social media, so they get everyone in there. Everyone's able to get email. Everyone is very easily able to get in and out of this supervillain top secret fortress, which I found
Bro, you're in the forum, or you gotta is get C.
Like a big door opens up. A big door opens up, and they just walk right in. But fight ensues. Hit Girl kills Black Death, stabs him in the eye, takes on Mother Russia, who is repeatedly too much for her, until Hit Girl is injected with a shot of adrenaline, and then uses shards of glass to kill the monstrous woman. Todd saves Marty's life, effectively joining the right side again. Still don't think he deserves to be on the team.
Dick move, bro. Yeah.
Chris and Dave's fight takes them to the roof, and Chris falls through the skylight into his shark tank, where he is mauled. Justice Forever regroup and decide to disband, choosing to help people in their ordinary lives instead. Mindy tells Dave that she's leaving New York due to them being wanted for murder. Due to her being wanted, he didn't kill nobody. Due to her being wanted for murder, but that the citizens need kick-ass. Okay, controversial moment here. They share a kiss. How do you feel about the kiss?
I felt like she did that shit because she wanted to be honest.
Okay, so first time I saw this movie, did not like that kiss. Knew the kiss was coming because I got spoiled while trying to fill in my notes. Someone was talking about all the scenes, so I wanted to make sure. And they brought it back up again, and I was like, oh yeah, I don't like that at all.
She keeping him on ice for when she comes back to town, bro.
I don't want a rematch between these two.
She told him to be good.
I don't want a rematch. I don't want a rematch. I don't want a romance between these two. I don't think she was ever playing it that way. I feel like for some reason he was directed to play it that way. Like, especially when she comes to him crying. Like, he's like, you're beautiful, you're smart. I'm just like, that's
right.
Again, like, where are you going with this? And your friend should be able to tell you that as well, but just the age difference, it's all just kind of strange.
Right. When you break it down and you don't look at the writing on the wall.
Upon rewatch, she 100% did it for herself. Because what she says 100%, is, bro. All you need to do to be a hero is be brave. And then she kisses him because the boy's kiss was the one thing she didn't get out of her high school experience. So to prove that she's brave and about that life, she kisses him. But he could have been anyone. And she possibly kissed him so that she knows she kissed somebody that no one would tell. That wouldn't tell, So yeah, that kiss was not for him at all. And that kiss was not for them. In my opinion, I think that kiss was just for her to scratch something off a list.
Oh, 100%, bro.
And now she's going to go do her hot girl summer or wherever.
Yeah, her in Jersey. Because she's still little and she ain't got no job.
Dave accepts his responsibility, begins training and upgrading his equipment. Yeah. And he's Broderick now. And the film ends with a tease of a new shiny helmet that we will never get because they are not making a Kick-Ass 3. Did you see the post-credit?
I didn't see the post-credit. I didn't want to seem too too conditioned, so I didn't stick around, bro. I honestly didn't stick around. Like, what's the post?
Oh no, I get it. The post credit is it you see Chris at the hospital. He has no legs, and he basically doesn't have any arms. and he survived the shark attack. He's trying to reach and get a cup of water, like reach out to a straw and drink some water, but he can't. So he's cursing up a storm about how he just wants to drink some fucking water and how the shark bit off his dick. And that's basically how the film ends. So entertaining, misguided is the biggest probably criticism I'll have against this.
I think I can agree with that.
Misguided. Get high school kids in the room. If you're gonna do a high school thing, get high school kids in the room. Because to me, the high school stuff is the stuff that really didn't gel with me. I don't know mobster stuff enough for that stuff not to gel. And all the superhero stuff checked out. Origin stories, villains,
right,
costumes. The high school stuff is the only stuff that didn't check out with me. And maybe I haven't been in high school long enough. It's been some time.
Well, they did say she was a freshman.
But the other girls weren't. Were they freshmen?
No.
That's why Katie got tired of him, because she was like, you're walking around chasing around
chasing around a freshman. And then everybody was looking at him like, what? Perv? So
he was out there chasing around a freshman. I'm glad we chased this film down for his 10-year anniversary. And I'm hoping that you guys chase us wherever we're going next, because we're continuing this road to 300 episodes. This is episode 296, which means we are lugging along. We try to do this Major Issues podcast each and every Wednesday. Knock on vibranium. Sometimes things come up. Sometimes I need a mental health day, and it gets a bit crazy. But we do painstakingly work hard to review, take notes, and stay informed on some of this stuff. I even go so far as to say that the rights have reverted back to Mark Millar for Kick-Ass. So, as of this recording, they are permitted to make their own Kick-Ass whatever they want, video game, movie, based on the comic. They can start fresh. They can reboot this entire thing. And that's what Matthew Vaughn said he'd rather do. Instead of doing a Kick-Ass 3, he'd rather either do a Hit Girl origin film, which she's gonna be like 3 in that, or do straight up.
I don't know, but I'm with it. If she's gonna be cussing and kicking people's ass.
Yeah, it could be cool. It could be cool, but you'll have to.
For what it's worth, I also forgot to mention, for me personally, this was more of a, I want to say, if you give her maybe 30 more seconds, it's a Hit Girl movie.
Yeah. Kind of feels almost like Spider-Verse, like how she kind of pushed, kind of training him and moving him around. There's a big super team. I can see that. So yeah, you'll have to continue following them if you want to see what is going to continue to happen with Kick-Ass. But you can continue following us if you want to see what's going on with Major Issues Podcast. Go to ComicBookClique.com, the one stop for every part of Comic Book Clique, including the Major Issues Podcast. Over 296 episodes, you heard me say it. That's over 500 hours of content. We've covered every single theatrical release of a comic book film since 2018, even some going back even further. We've covered Superman 1, Supergirl. We've covered some really, really bad films. We've covered almost everything under the sun. We've had a lot of fun doing it as we continue to cover the latest and greatest things to come to comic books and comic book media. But yeah, check out comicbookclique.com. It's the easiest way to support us. You can hit support CBC, and it'll take you to our Patreon as little as 10 cents a day, $3 a month. You can help support us and keep the lights on here. If you don't want that, go to our TeePublic. I just put out 2 new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle designs for my boys. I love that film. It's out on digital currently. Yeah, we outside. So consider purchasing one of those shirts. Not only will you get a one-of-a-kind design made by me, but we get kickback. We get money back for every purchase made. You don't need to just buy a t-shirt. You can buy a mouse pad. You can buy a pillowcase, phone case. It really doesn't matter. Help chip in to keep our lights on here, because I see some very big things in the future for us, and we might need a little help getting there. We're all over social media. Facebook.com/ComicBookClique, Instagram at ComicBookClique. You can use the hashtag ComicBookClique to talk about the newest, hottest, latest, and greatest things to come to comic books, comic book media. Also, rate and review us on iTunes so we can grow as podcasters. Give us 5 stars so we get recommended to other people. I think we're pretty. Go to your Apple Podcast app right now, because you have one of those iDevices, and tell me what the Major Issues Podcast is rated I want to say it's high fours. Please tell me how popping we are on the Apple iTunes chart as we continue to try to reach out and connect to the rest of our fan base. Because, like I said, if you do like what we're doing here, if you give us 5 stars, it's an easy recommendation for people looking for our kind of content. But we are across the board. We try to be 5 star men and women. We have women here on occasion. But yeah, thanks to those who have already went out there and given us reviews on iTunes. Thank you for everybody who continues to follow us because the Major Issues Podcast is available everywhere: Podcast Addicts, Stitcher, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast. What is it? What's the number?
I guess
Did you not get it?
it's not loading, sir. However, I can find this on Spotify. No problem.
We with 16 ratings, we have 4.6 stars. I found that in 30 seconds by googling Major Issues Podcast.
Oh.
Because if you Google Major Issues Podcast, you can do that. We're literally the first like 10 things. Major Issues Podcast Apple, Major Issues Podcast Spotify, Major Issues Podcast ComicBookClique.com, Major Issues Podcast Player FM, Major Issues Podcast Blueberry Podcast, and Major Issues Podcast Podcast Addict. We're out there. We're out there. Google us. We're out there. We're Googleable. Follow us wherever we are on social media. We're at Facebook.com/ComicBookClique. I already did that, right? We're at Major Issue CBC on Twitter, at Major Issue CBC on Twitch. I will be streaming when Marvel Spider-Man 2 comes out, so be prepared. I might even start doing some Spider-Man 1 to get used to it. So
to get in the mood.
To get in the thwip of things. You know, I'm trying. But you'll have to follow all this to find out where we go next as part of the Major Issues Podcast is concerned. Because I've been to the future where we do become the latest and greatest thing to come to comic book media, but I can't tell you how we do it because it will change the timeline. Next thing you know, $7 Productions buys the rights to Kick Ass, and The Rock is trying to play all the roles. And I don't think that's going to work. So let's not get there. Let's not do that. Follow us wherever we are. Get on the bandwagon before the bandwagon becomes full. And don't forget, I love each and every one of you guys. But it's time to go. My name is George Serrano, a.k.a. The Don.
I am yours. And mine? I am Claudius Maximus.
Sure. And this has been our recap and review of Kick-Ass 2 in time for its 10-year anniversary. And remember, whether you're a supervillain, a superhero, a vigilante, or an anti-hero, wear a mask, don a cape, or just pretty kick-ass yourself, remember, we are the Clique. And always remember that you, yes, you, are worthy.